Hello friends! Welcome back to another week of Cringe Poetry. I know I said last week that we might be starting to dive back into the dark stuff, but I'm celebrating something fun and a little bit strange, maybe, this week, so I thought I'd bring you along for that ride. You're here, so you're coming along, whether you like it or not. So this month, 20 years ago, I met my best friend. Aww! I know, celebrating the anniversary of your friendship might be cringy in itself, but I'll be completely honest, that's just who I am. And you're here for me, so you get what you get. And to anybody watching these videos who does know me personally, you already know who I'm talking about. My best friend and I actually really bonded over poetry. The crappy kind. Like the stuff I'm reading you. In fact, aside from Dark World, which I shared with my mom, my best friend is probably the only other human being on the planet that I have shared some of these poems with. Until I decided to start recording them and putting them on the internet. Well into our friendship, I started sharing some of my poems with this person. And she was very, very kind when she read them. She also wrote poems herself, which were much better than mine, if I'm being honest. We would get together and we would sit in my bedroom in the basement. We would draw ridiculous pictures and we would write ridiculous poetry, and that is just what our friendship was. So this week, the poem that I'm going to read to you, I'm actually not sure if it was inspired by my friend, and I'll be completely honest, it could have been. I don't remember. Reading it today reminded me of her. So that's what you're gonna get. Let's run into the reddened sunset without choking on the heat and smoke. We can laugh as the pomegranate dusk trickles down our chin and cools our childlike tongues. We could sing with the birds and ride the clouds here and there and back again. Play tag among the stars and hide and seek in the night sky, silently, whispering jokes to one another, oblivious to the chance of rain. And when the sun rises, let's dream of ourselves as we once were, and smile in our daydream sleep about the next time the shooting stars in our eyes create a new constellation. And that was kind of magical, I guess. It's interesting because I feel like the positive ones aren't as cringeworthy. It's maybe the ones that sound like I'm on the edge of the depths of depression that really are the funniest. Like I said, I don't particularly remember that being inspired by my best friend. It just kind of reminds me of her. So this one's for you, best friend. I wonder if she watches these videos. I guess I'm about to find out. Hey best friend, if you've watched this video, text me the word bumblebee. That's nice. I love you so much. Happy anniversary. Here's a test of your devotion. Honestly though, that was for my best friend. I hope everybody watching has somebody in their lives that they can call their best friend, who they can be ridiculous with and share terrible poetry with, because I know it's made my life richer. And more ridiculous, but also richer. So, moving on to the actual published poet this week. And again, this week I do have a little bit of a theme. Don't worry, for those of you who hate themes and cheesy things like that, I won't always have a theme. I'm not nearly clever enough for that. This week, continuing on with a theme of female friendship and sisterhood, I'm going to be reading from Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. I want to apologize to all the women I have called pretty before I've called them intelligent or brave. I'm sorry I made it sound as though something as simple as what you were born with is the most you have to be proud of, when your spirit has crushed mountains. From now on, I will say things like you are resilient or you are extraordinary. Not because I don't think you're pretty, but because you are so much more than that. Rupi Kaur is originally a self-published poet and actually gained a huge following online, particularly on Instagram, which I know in and of itself is something that people have criticized, particularly scholars and people who have spent their lives writing, reading, analyzing some of the more classic poets, as well as some of the more complex poetry in the world. A lot of Rupi Kaur's poetry, if you flip through her book, it's not very long, it's not very complex. And this is part of why a lot of these Instagram poets have been criticized. The one thing that I love about these Instagram poets, I won't name all of them because the list is pretty long, but if you're interested, they're pretty easy to find, is that their work is so accessible. It's not crazy complex or long. It's something that people who are just starting to read poetry or just starting to dip their toes in whether or not they might enjoy poetry. I'm a big fan of some of this very accessible, very short form, and honestly, very empowering poetry. So that was Milk and Honey. Rupi Kaur does also have another book called The Sun and Her Flowers, which coincidentally is the book that I bought for my best friend for our 20-year anniversary. Because yes, I bought my best friend an anniversary present, okay? I know what I'm about. It's just who I am. I'm interested to hear what everybody else has to say. Do you follow any of these Instagram poets? If you do already enjoy poetry, what are the poems that really got you into poetry? And of course, let me know what you thought of this week's cringe poem. Pomegranate Dusk. A little heavy-handed, don't you think? It's kind of whimsical, I guess. I don't know. Best friend, it reminded me of you for some reason, so I hope you enjoy it, even if no one else does. Be sure to do all the things that I usually ask you to do, like subscribe and ring the little bell and give me the thumbs up. We'll get back into the dark and twisty stuff next week, the stuff that really has some true cringe power to it. But for this week, I hope you enjoyed. As always and forever, thank you so much everybody for watching, and we'll see you on Monday. Friends through eternity, loyalty, honesty will stick together through thick or thin. There's a little Easter egg for any of you who enjoy watching truly terrible movies. Also, I promise to not sing anymore. Please don't unsubscribe or stop watching my videos. Okay.